Hey guys, welcome back. Sports with Mono and Mono. It's 6/11/2019. Steve?
Hello, everybody. How are you? That was my Lloyd Lindsay Young, a little slight impression on it for our weather guys way back then.
I think only one of our fans from Naples, Florida would even get that, but well done.
Okay.
So let's jump right into it. Big week in sports. So obviously the big story is the NBA, right?
Yeah, not even about 24 hours old. The big KD injury.
And let me jump in on this real quick before, first of all, everybody signed off on this guy playing, even himself, right? So now they're going to blame his Achilles on the fact that they put him out too early. And I know it was, they thought he was going to be the salvation to save this series. And now everyone sitting back, Monday morning quarterback, and going, how could you have put him out there? Now his career's over, and it throws the whole NBA free agent thing into chaos. Thoughts?
No, of course it does. And I'm a big Kevin Durant fan, okay? And
I was.
I am. I still am. And yeah, I mean, his talk radio blown up in the media, and you say in the Monday morning quarterback. The guy missed, I think, 33 days, 9 games, saying it's a calf strain. It's the same leg. Listen, he came out last night. I give him all the credit for showing up.
And lit it up in the first
And
quarter
boy,
and a
did he
half.
lit it up. I mean, if he stayed healthy that night, I think Golden State wins by 20. He probably would have put 40 in. He was just on the money. So I felt real bad for him. Is his career over? No. It's a bad injury. I think on average, it's a full year recovery for the
Right.
most part,
And he
especially
gets-
with a marquee talent like
And he
this
gets
guy.
to make $40 million while he goes to the gym every Monday.
Yeah, but you also just made up that point. So now this free agency, it throws it into chaos. So he has the ability to sign with Golden State for, again, a 1 year deal.
31,
Right?
right?
Then who are the other players? We've been talking about it. The Lakers, I don't think he's going there. The Clippers got money. Brooklyn seems to be in the mix, and of course the New York Knickerbockers. So the fact that the Knicks have all this money, and now he's out for a year, do they still sign him to a 4 year max deal, and he only plays 3?
Well,
Do
listen,
not discount that the Knicks would
Okay.
still be in the mix.
but listen. Somebody's going to sign him. That's why I was referencing he's going to get $40 million to rehab his Achilles.
Yeah, he is. There's no question.
Because somebody thinks down the road, it could be the Clippers, it could be wherever, not the Brooklyn Nets. But anyway, a lot of people are screaming about that, the fact that he shouldn't have played, but I don't think it was related. Do you? I mean,
Listen, again, I just said he met. Is that our mascot, Mace? Here at Sports with Mono and Mono, Mace, M-A-C-E, is our mascot. And Mace, I think, saw a squirrel outside just now. But the bottom line on Durant, it now gives options for him. I'm not quite sure now. I'm not Nostradamus on this as far as what's going to happen with him. But I'll go back to my original point. I think this guy is money. He's 30, right?
no, I think he's a great basketball player. You're diminishing what I'm telling you. I'm saying he's a great player. But everybody's saying, he was going to save the series. I still don't think the series is savable. I think Toronto still wins it in 2.
Well, listen, I said the Warriors. I'm sticking with the Warriors. I'm not altering it. Is Golden State kind of decimated by injuries? Of course they are. Listen, they pulled out that victory. I think he was a little inspirational in it. But getting to the game itself, Kyle Lowry taking the last shot. I saw this stat last night. He is like 2 for 30 in pressure shots. I'm not saying it's the last shot of the game, but something within like the last minute of a game. That's John Starks. That's worse than John Starks, actually.
Oh, and he missed by a lot.
Well, listen, I think Golden State thought, obviously you got to guard against Kawhi, and they threw it to him. Yeah, did he miss? Boy, did he miss!
And a lot of people are trying to hang Nick Nurse for calling the timeout with 3 minutes left when they were on a roll.
Yeah, but I'm sticking with the Warriors. I'm going to say they're going to win this Game 6. Now, am I confident now? Are they going to win Game 7 back to Toronto? I can't say that, but I'm not going to alter my pick going in here.
All right.
But listen, if the Warriors do pull this off, that's some good stuff.
No
man.
question about it. If they pull this off, which I don't think they will,
I
but if
think
they do,
think-
you're right. It cements their legacy
But,
for a
yeah.
5-6 year dynasty.
There is a less than 10% chance I think they're going to do it, and one of our basketball aficionados kind of called me out saying, "What, are you kidding?" But I'm not an excuse guy, okay? The injuries are what they are, all right? And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
And that's
But
what I want to bring up. Everyone says
I'm
they're
sticking to my
decimated.
pick.
Obviously, their best player is out. So that makes them decimated? Everybody else is playing?
Thompson missed the game. One of the big guys
Right,
is
but
out.
he's back 100%.
Boogie is a slob.
Oh, my God.
I am not a Boogie fan by any stretch of the
Wow.
imagination.
That's like having Tootie Robbins as your
Exactly.
center.
But you think Boogie is rehabbing and getting in shape for that? What are you kidding?
No, I think I saw him at Taco Bell last
Yeah, after
week.
10 bong hits and the night before. Come on. I mean, let's be real.
I got it.
So the fact of the matter is, it is what it is. I commend Golden State for winning that game and making it a series. But
An Achilles problem is a problem.
it
That
is. It's a year injury. There's a list, and
A year
Jay,
plus?
guess who was at the top of the list with the most days off? Boogie, like 357. I mean, the list is
I know.
Dominic Wilkins to guys like this going way back. So let's just peg it as a year, especially with.
All right, but look, we're down to a 2-game series. It's going to be good, right?
That's
I
it.
mean,
So
I thought it was going to be over last night. So
I did too. Especially after Durant went down. I mean, before Durant went down, like I said earlier, I thought Golden State was going to win going away, and if he was healthy, I
But again, the Swish brothers stepped up, boy. They dropped these bombs, man.
Right. But Curry got off to a good start again.
Yeah.
Draymond Green, we've talked about him. He's one technical away from getting suspended. But the point about this guy is he hustles, he's passionate, plays hard, and I'm a Draymond fan, actually.
I am too. He's
Right.
a defensive player. He doesn't shoot
We
well.
talked
He-
about it, but he does the intangibles.
Exactly.
He hustles, he
We're good.
scrambles for balls, plays good defense, gets his rebounds.
Well,
Right.
good. So on our next show, we'll talk about how this all pans out.
Sure,
But
it will
I'm
be
going
on.
Raptors. Steve's going Warriors, and we'll check it out.
You got it.
Before we wander off with the NBA, Tony Parker retired.
Yeah, let's acknowledge Tony Parker. Great career and bona fide Hall of Famer.
Absolutely. I started to wonder. I go, is Hall of Famer? And then I go, absolutely.
Right. Once he married Eva Longoria, that was that cemented it for me.
And he cheated on Evan Longoria.
Okay, I
gotta
don't
be
care you're
kidding me.
married for 2 weeks. That's on the resume.
No,
But great ball player.
absolutely.
I think he's the all-time Spurs assist leader. He's got to be up there in points. He played 17? I think?
18.
18? Okay.
18 seasons.
And I think Tony Parker will punch his ticket to the Hall of Fame.
I agree.
He's got at least 3 titles, right? Probably.
4.
He's got 4? Okay.
4.
And class act.
Yep.
Carried himself with
Yes, he did.
dignity and played hard. And
And that's a big thing on our show.
yeah,
When
we're
you're a
character
pro
guys.
athlete.
We're character guys over
You
here.
bet.
Right?
But I wanted to mention that before we moved on.
Okay,
You
good.
know, So, listen, before we move on to the NHL, just want to bring up one of our sponsors, De Filippi's Bakery from Monticello, New York.
Right?
Thank you. And Still the best blueberry pies in the Northeast, right?
That's it.
I mean,
Cannolis, cookies, you name it. And there's a cafe there too. And they have music on a Sunday morning if you're up in the Catskills. Stop by, listen to a little acoustic guitar there.
okay.
Okay?
So listen, let's move on to the NHL, right?
Okay?
It's starting to pan out, pretty exciting,
Very
right?
exciting.
Longest season ever, though. It's almost 9 months.
Right. It's same as the other seasons prior, but yes, it's long.
No, I just mean compared to other sports.
I got you.
So we're going to a game 7 in Boston. I know all your friends, and bring them up.
Trust me. I've been
Bring
in
'em up.
contact with my friends. So my Boston faithful felt that they got absolutely jobbed 2 games ago on the non-call on the St. Louis second goal.
Okay.
And listen, was it a penalty? Of course it was a penalty. Absolutely was a penalty. But I don't want to hear it, okay? Too bad, all right? It's a non-call. Is it? I'll say that. But also, let's flip back to St. Louis and the San Jose Sharks. So St. Louis lost that game, the series before, on the hand pass in overtime, which was so blatant. Point is, it's unfortunate.
It is what it is, kind
It
of
is
thing.
what it is.
I get it.
But St. Louis wins that game 2-1. Again, I picked Boston before the series started.
We both of us did.
But they came back and they kicked the crap out of the Blues, and the Blues obviously must have had the Stanley Cup and all their T-shirts and hats, and St. Louis was gonna go bedlam and go nuts, but Boston came in and dominated, and now Boston gets Game 7 at home.
How awesome is that, though?
And I
right?
got to think that the Bruins got to be favored. Although St. Louis does play well on the road. So,
I got to say, this kid Binnington.
yeah, he's played great.
I mean, he got shelled the other night late, but
he had 2 games where he's gotten shelled.
almost like Patrick Roy. Remember when he came up as a rookie for
Of
the
course,
Canadians
you
back
bet.
then?
86.
And then went on to become a Hall of Fame, legendary Stanley Cup winner.
Yep.
Same kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
No, but it's been a great series. It really has. It comes down to Game 7. The Red Sox, I just read, moved their 7:30 game up to 4 o'clock for the Boston fans. So I think that they dropped the puck probably at 8 o'clock. And it's tomorrow night, Wednesday. I'll be glued in, dialed in.
No question about it.
But I'm telling you, again, like I said, I picked the Bruins, but my heart is with the Blues. I really like to see the Blues get their first Stanley Cup.
All right. Well, listen, nothing better than Game 7 in the Stanley
Nah,
Cup, right?
you can't
Since
ask
the
for
Rangers, Canucks, what, 91?
94.
94, excuse me. I'm sorry.
But
I was eating a taco at the time. I apologize.
there have been Game 7s, and looking forward to it. And, congratulations to both teams for getting this far.
And before we even move on with that, I got to say, I like this guy Craig Berube as head coach. I never even foresaw him as possibly being a coach in this league.
I mentioned that on the previous show.
I mean, this
Obviously,
guy was a kick-ass guy and,
he didn't back down
thug.
from anybody. He was goon, thug, everything. Okay, without even looking it up, I'll put Berube. Maybe he had career 26 goals, and but that wasn't his job. Was
And
to score
35 knockouts.
goals. Totally.
So,
Right. 31 by TKO, 4 draws.
that's great. So,
Yeah, so we're looking forward to the
Yep.
results tomorrow night. I'll be dialed in.
Yep.
Yep.
So before we move on, next segment sponsored by Lynch Toyota from Manchester, Connecticut.
President Mike Lynch of Lynch Toyota.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Mike.
So let's we talked a lot last show on horse racing.
We
So
did.
we got to talk about the Belmont first. And
Okay.
Steve, Sir Winston comes in.
I don't like to brag or anything, but
All right.
Sir
Well,
Winston.
that was like, I like the jockey's colors
Yeah.
pick, but,
Well, one of our loyal listeners cleaned up on his exacta with the Sir Winston pick.
okay.
All right, just saying.
But my horse, Tacitus, came in second. And I always said that's the toughest race to handicap because nobody ever runs a mile and a half. You never know.
Unless you're a Kenyan with sneakers, you're right. So
But the sentimental pick and picking Sir Winston, now I look back on it, it made sense.
right,
And it would have been worth a C note. That's all.
totally. Right,
And I didn't
in
get
honor of D-Day and Winston Churchill and,
You bet.
and everything else. So, listen,
And to all you guys who had that horse, $22 to win.
Yeah.
Good for you.
yep. And also, I had the joy. My son had a lacrosse tournament out in Uniondale, Long Island, and I had the privilege of merging into the exit Belmont traffic post race. So.
And
That
what was
so
the
I felt,
attendance
I
there?
felt a little close to the action there.
I could almost smell manure.
Oh my God! But no, I'm sure there was over 100,000. It was a beautiful day out.
It was
I
a
mean,
perfect day,
yeah,
but
so-
I don't think it was.
I didn't look to see
American
what the
Pharaoh
no,
justified.
it wasn't.
thing,
I'm
but-
sure it wasn't record territory, but that always gets 100 grand down.
Right.
Yeah. So listen, a little update too. I saw on the news yesterday, and we had talked about the horse racing deaths at Santa Anita, and we mentioned that.
Another one since we had
Yeah.
our last show.
Well, I'll give credit to the California State Racing Association. I think that's what they call them. They're
Racing board.
the racing board, but they're asking Santa Anita to shut it down for the rest of the year. And say, you know what Santa Anita said? Not happening. Now Santa Anita is also hosting the Breeders' Cup in November, ironically. But
That's part of the meet.
yeah. So now
actually.
the Honorable Dianne Feinstein, senator from the
supported the Cal Racing Board on
She
this
did.
one.
So we'll see what kind of pressure is put on that. But to our point about what we talked about last year, it's all about the money. As Seinfeld and George with his jackhammer, is it about the money? Yeah, it's about the money, right? So,
But I just can't believe what's going on there. This is the 29th horse to die since December, and I've never seen anything like it.
it's because it hasn't been publicized, and now I think the media.
No, I disagree
No,
that it
it-
hasn't been publicized.
Again, Real Sports with Brian Gumbo. I'm going to ask you guys again, watch that show. And I didn't finish my point actually on the last show about the difference between Europe and the United States. And it really has to do with the drug testing. So I mentioned that, you know, the trainers and the owners, they're in it for the money. Got it. But they're hitting these horses with all these drugs. And the difference in Europe is they actually have mobile labs at every racetrack. And they test after every single race. And they talk to an American trainer who works out of Paris. And the question was, how many horses have died on your watch? None. How many have died on doing that? None. Right? And if you get caught, you're getting a
Banned.
Pete,
You get
Rose
banned.
lifetime ban.
I agree. I'm not
And I think
disputing
it's
that.
time that horse racing is cleaned up. I don't know to what extent.
Let me just bring this point up.
And that's all I'll say. I just
Let me
think
just
we
bring this
needed to bring
point up.
attention to it.
Let me bring this point up. This Santa Anita thing, this is 29 horses since December.
Yeah.
So you're saying because this happens at Belmont, it happens at Keeneland, and it's just not publicized?
There's 50
It's
horses
impossible.
on average per track per year dying.
I-
Whether from a spill, and again, it's
We have to ask your sister, who lives in Kentucky,
We
and
will.
she knows all about it. Did 30 horses die since December at Keeneland Racetrack? I'll have to defer to the experts here.
okay.
But it just seems incredible that it's happening at Santa Anita at this rate. And you're right, if it's publicized and the other ones weren't, then I'll tip my hat to you,
Okay,
Steve.
so I think we just gotta look into this more, and I'm glad that at least we're bringing this to
Yep.
out in the public.
Yep.
Right? We're horse racing fans. We get it. But I really think there's some dark, seedy stuff going on in the back alleys of the barns back there.
And I
really
think
do.
it's specific to Santa Anita because it just, to me, it just seems unfathomable that this has been going on for.
Okay, but why
6
Santa
months.
Anita, which is one of the most prominent tracks in
I
America?
think I made up my point. You know, it's a synthetic track, and I think there must be something wrong with the track. I don't know. But if it comes down to that, we'll
Yeah.
talk about it.
Okay.
So let's move on. It was a great race, and listen, we'll talk about horse racing when the Breeders' Cup comes up because that's just as cool as the
Right, that
Triple
comes
Crown.
up in November.
Yeah, October, November, something
Right.
like that. Yeah.
What's next, Jim?
So let's move on, and we're going to talk about tennis. And I know this, but hold on. This segment's sponsored by Coriano Trucking Incorporated.
Okay.
Thank you, Coriano Trucking.
Thank you, Guy.
I watched the French Open. This guy Rafael Nadal. I think maybe, listen, I'm going to go on record as saying I thought he was so beat up, so torn down.
He owns the French Open.
He
owns
obviously
French.
owns the French. So, but he's too shy of Roger Federer's all-time major.
Yeah.
This is the Jack Nicklaus,
We
Tiger
talked
Woods
about
thing.
it. Pete
Right?
Sampras had the record. I think it was at 14 until Federer and Nadal really came on the scene, and they're blowing. You know, obviously, what are they at? What's Federer at now?
20.
20, and Nadal's now at 18.
That's correct.
Right.
Yep.
But
But
no
I,
end in sight either. Each of them can at least garner another two.
I mean, this
possibly.
is Bill Russell kind of thing, right?
Right.
You know, 12 and what, 13 years or 14 years?
They're great,
Same
great
with-
players.
But he is unbeatable on that thing.
He
and
is.
It's amazing.
Right.
Nobody's ever won more majors, Grand Slam events in tennis at one site, you know, in one major
Yep.
than that.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Makes sense though.
And I really like this guy, Dominic Thiem.
Okay.
He handled himself with class and grace the whole time. He was awesome. Him beating Djokovic the day before was awesome.
Right.
Great matches.
Okay.
And that goes out to Mike in Naples because he's a big tennis guy and he made sure I was watching it. You know, it's one of those British Open golf things. You got to get up at 7 in the morning and start watching.
That is
so.
correct. All right. So what's the next major? Wimbledon is fast upon us. Then that'll be another couple weeks at least. Typically end of June.
Is
right?
it?
Early
Yeah.
July, so to speak. So.
And then the U.S. Open obviously
Yep.
is Labor Day weekend.
Yep.
Stuff, so.
Okay.
All right, so let's move on. Steve, what do you want to bring up? Come on.
Well, let's talk about the New York Jets real quick before we had talked before the show. So they made their big hire of the GM.
Kudos to you for
Yeah.
picking that, actually.
I did, and congratulations to Mr. Douglas for garnishing a 6-year contract from the Johnson & Johnson Corporation. So my line for all you Jet fans is being owned by Johnson & Johnson, no more tears, I guess, shampoo is relevant for you guys because you have Adam Gase and now Joe Douglas running the ship with Buck Henry's younger brother, Christopher Johnson,
Yep.
running the show. This guy apparently, he worked under Howie Roseman in Philly. By all accounts, he's a good football guy, but the fix was in. Adam Gase had this guy penciled in. Listening to the negotiations on this, Douglas is like, no,
But
no,
that's the whole
no,
thing with this
until,
whole thing.
okay, now we'll give you 6 years and that type of
But
thing.
the whole thing is Adam Gase is driving the show
Apparently so, yeah.
because the only person Joe Douglas ever hired was Adam Gase.
Right,
And Adam Gase had, you know, the Jets GM fired,
yep,
ultimately fired.
yep.
And I'm starting to think I can get a 3-year contract working for the Jets without even doing anything.
Absolutely. Just tell him you played linebacker at St. Joe's. That should garnish yourself a
Right.
3-year deal.
3-year guaranteed contract.
I want a 5-year deal being the quarterback at St. Joe's.
How about 4? Done.
Right?
Incredible.
So the Jets, and the other thing I saw in the news was your star running back that you gave $68 million to, or whatever the case may be, had a couple of his female friends walk off with $500,000 and plus in his jewelry. You know, and this is the guy that you just gave this contract to, who's super talented, don't get me wrong.
And didn't show up to OTAs.
And I was just getting to that. He decides, you know, I'm just going to stick to my formula and not show up and ingratiate myself to my new organization and come across as a team guy, etc. And then when I see a little story like that, it just goes to the character, and I'll leave it at that. But
And
I
let's
thought
back-
we should bring that up.
And let's back up this truck, as I told you all along. When he sat down and turned $13 million down from the Steelers, I said, this guy is insane. You don't want him on your team. And then we knew that he was going to the Jets. I think we even talked about it on the show. He's going to the Jets.
Yeah.
And they opened the vault, gave him all this money, and he's playing exactly the same role that he played in Pittsburgh.
Now listen, in his defense, he still hasn't touched the ball. I get it. I think he's a super talented physical talent, but like we
Not
said,
anymore.
but what we said earlier in the show, we are character guys, and that gets back to the New England model, right? You bring in character guys, guys that know their job, and if you don't buy into it,
Yep.
bye-bye,
But
right? So,
and one other thing before we get off the NFL thing.
okay,
Carson Wentz.
got a
The
big
guy
payday.
can't stay healthy, gets hurt during the national anthem,
Mhm.
and they gave him $107 million guaranteed.
They really had no choice to do it. They got rid of Foles.
Okay.
It's the market. We talked about when Rodgers signed his deal. So now that Wentz just signed that deal, that means Dak Prescott, you can absolutely say he's getting $30 million a year,
Exactly.
right? But
Because that's the
apparently
market thing.
that's the market.
But I'm saying if you're a Philadelphia Eagles guy, you cannot count on Carson Wentz to win you a Super Bowl.
I get
Period.
it. I get what you're saying, but he's the franchise quarterback there, so it's a catch-22. I understand where you're coming.
And the fact that, you know what I like the most is that they drafted, Goff and Wentz went 1-2 kind of thing.
Mhm.
And now Goff is, took his team to the Super Bowl. This
Yeah.
guy doesn't even stay on the field in Philadelphia.
And I think he can pencil in. Goff has another good year, and he's going to make. He'll be the highest paid quarterback by this time next year.
If he has another good year, he deserves it.
He will. So he'll get
He
whatever.
deserves it.
I think Rodgers is getting Russell Wilson signed for 35, Rodgers 33, and so.
But
on
you
and
and
so
I
forth.
talked about it. I never saw a turnaround in the NFL from a quarterback position from a
1 year to the
absolute
next.
guy you would have thought just
Deer in the
will
headlights.
not make this
Right.
this league, and now he's a stud.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, maybe it's the talent, maybe it's the coach, but what a turnaround!
Yeah.
And I hope he gets more than Carson Wentz.
Yeah, he's a
that's for
good.
sure.
He's a good kid too.
So,
Yeah.
all right, listen. Our last thing we want to touch base is Major League Baseball, and obviously, our best wishes go to our Boston fans and Big Poppy, right?
Yeah. Now listen,
Crazy is it?
Watch
Crazy it is.
this guy kill us as a Yankee fan. Had a great career, and when you see the video of that, it's very
Disturbing.
It's very upsetting, actually. The guy's sitting there outside in a cafe having a beer with a buddy, and you see some knucklehead come up from behind him, and you see actually the gun being pulled. And, he's a big guy, so I'm sure that helped. And, our prayers and wishes go to him for a speedy recovery, but he's got a long road ahead. He took those bullets whacked his body around pretty good.
But I always thought about how, he killed the Yankees.
Oh,
but you know
boy.
what? He killed everybody. He had
did.
541 career home runs.
He did. As much as I disliked him being on the Red Sox, killing me, I appreciated the guy's talent.
And his first couple of seasons in Minnesota were like Sandy Koufax's first in Los Angeles.
Right,
Non-existent. And
Let's-
then all of a sudden he turns out to be this.
I'm not gonna
Killer?
Yeah, but Ortiz was in the Mitchell report. I'm not gonna tell you it's all steroid base. He's a good guy. He represented Boston well. Getting back to the Boston Marathon bombings in 2013,
Handled himself
he
with
took the
grace.
lead and was very respectful and rallied around the city and actually led the Red Sox to the World Series that year
Yep.
and title. So
Won
that
3 titles.
he
actually.
did. He won 3 titles. So
Which is shocking.
So I'm just saying, thoughts and prayers are with him for a speedy recovery.
Look, and we're Yankee fans here, but he was a guy who was face of Major League Baseball, and
But
We
again, to be
acknowledge it.
fair, he was in the Mitchell report. So take that as you will.
okay,
Okay.
got it.
Yep. So
So-
let's talk about baseball real quick. So last night I'm watching, flicking back between the the Warriors Raptors
Raptors
game.
series. Okay.
And the Phillies and Diamondbacks are on. 13 home runs between them.
Major league record.
Yeah. And then you talked before the show. What was the thing about the Nationals that you saw?
They hit 4 home runs back to back to back to back. Second time. I think it's the only time it's happened in Major League history.
Right. And then I saw.
Hard to believe the 27 Yankees didn't do that
Right.
10 times. But
And then I saw a stat about the Yankees. Obviously, with Stanton and Judge last year, they had a team record. I think it was a major league record. It's escaping me, but I want to say like 200 and team homers. I want to go 240.
yeah, I can't
something
pull
like
that number out.
But anyway, with the Yankees, with their mishmash of mash unit guys, they were only 2 off the pace after from last year to this year.
Right, but you know who's way ahead of the pace? I think it's either the Twins?
Twins?
Or the Mariners.
Right. So
Is that mediocre pitching?
I don't know what it. I'll leave it up to the our listeners.
We're American League guys, and I said it sounds like National League pitching in the American League.
Can I see somebody bat 357 and steal bases anymore and
Nope.
play hit and run and small ball?
Nope.
Can I see a game of pepper if I go to the base? If I go to Yankee Stadium, can I see the guys in a circle playing pepper in the back?
No,
No?
this is a sign that says no,
No
pepper
pepper.
games allowed.
But I think the audience understands what I'm saying. It's all about strikeouts and home runs, really.
Yep.
Right. So we just wanted to bring that up. That it's trending. It's all about the home run now. Man.
Yeah,
It
the
really
pitching
is.
is a little suspect.
Yep.
So listen, before we close out, I wanted to bring up something. I don't know if we brought this up last week. There's a Showtime special on Muhammad Ali
Yeah. On HBO.
on HBO, parts
name-
1 and 2.
My name is Muhammad Ali. Must see TV.
It is must-see television.
Absolutely.
Whether you liked them or didn't like them, this was great, and this was our heyday. We would
Highly recommend.
set our
it.
clocks around Foreman and
3 in the
Norton
morning.
and
3 in the
Frazier.
morning for Zaire, the Foreman fight, to the thrill in Manila.
Exactly.
Great stuff.
How many tests I failed the next day for not studying to watch those fights?
Right.
It was great.
So that's highly recommended. And then what's coming up in 2 days, James?
The United States Golf Championship.
That is correct. The final round being always on Father's Day.
Yes, it is. Fun
So
round.
after our last show, we threw some names out there, and actually I spoke to our resident golf expert,
Okay.
and we talked about the course at Pebble Beach, and our resident guru George thinks it's a wide open field. He really doesn't have a pinpoint favorite. And we've said this before because of the young guns and all this.
Yep.
It's
still
literally
remember.
30 or 40 guys. But I'll stick with Brooks. Until he is knocked off, I have no problem
Okay.
saying Brooks is now getting a three-peat as a U.S. Open in a row. That's an awful tough task. But just watching this guy over the last 3 years, I'm going to stick with Brooks Koepka until he is dethroned.
Okay, well, I like to acknowledge that I picked Mr. Koepka to win the last major, and he did.
You're dead.
However, I'm going to go out on a limb here, because Pebble Beach, you get some no name. I don't want to say no names, but
The one point he did make, George, was it's not as long of a course as your typical.
okay, but it could
right?
be a hurricane one day and
Yeah,
calm
but
the next.
that's the point of why 30 to 40, pick a number on that.
I'm going out. I'm going to give you 2, and I'm not ruling Tiger Woods out because he owns that golf course.
No, and actually,
However, I'm not picking him to win. Here's my sleeper. Brant Snedeker
Brant Snedeker
wins his first major.
wins his first major. Okay.
I know it's a reach, but like I said,
Oh, it's a reach.
well, our golf guru thought
Yes.
Patrick Cantley was a reach, and he came in third.
All right.
At the PGA. So
But that's fine.
that's my
That's your
pick,
pick.
and of course, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be sunny. It's going to be Pebble Beach, and
Right.
it's the United States
I
Open.
mean, guys like the Xander Schauffele. I mean, there's so many of the, once again, the young guns. Could this be Ricky Fowler's first time? Maybe. Who knows? Right?
Very good you brought that up because usually I
know.
pick,
You're
and
the
I've
one
been-
who normally brings them up.
I
But
don't see it at Pebble Beach though. That's all.
no, that's fine. But
I see him having a better chance at the British. than
what
I
a
do with
great
the US
venue,
Open.
Pebble Beach, U.S. Open. Come on, does it get much better than that?
Doesn't.
It doesn't.
On Father's Day, the whole thing.
You bet.
So great. Shout out, Steve.
Well, I got two.
Go ahead.
Okay, my buddy, longtime pal Anthony Dellarina, Anthony's nephew, Serafina Brito, Brito, just got drafted in the 38th round of the Major League Draft by the Cleveland Indians out of Rutgers University. And
Wow.
Serafino is the first pitcher from Rutgers to be drafted since 2004.
Excellent.
So I think that's awesome. He's going to be headed to the Arizona Fall League. So congratulations, couldn't be prouder.
Excellent. Must be in the genes.
Absolutely. And then my other shout out is to our dear friend Teddy Giandana. Teddy went under surgery, I'm going to say about 2 weeks ago, for prostate cancer. And he's recovering well. And Ted is a big fan of the show. And while you're recuperating, we just wanted to shout out to you. Thanks for your support. And we're rooting for you, and I hope you're feeling better.
2 thumbs up, Theodore.
Okay?
Excellent. But listen, thanks for joining us, guys. This
Yep.
was a great show. We love talking to you, and we look forward to what we talked about today. See how we all panned out.
And if you have any comments or questions, please email us at sportswithmonoandmono@gmail.com. We've been getting some real good feedback.
Yes, we have.
Some funny stuff, some ball-breaking stuff, but that's what we expect, and we eat it up with a spoon. So thank you for listening, everybody. Enjoy the U.S. Open. Enjoy Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals.
Yep.
And we'll catch up to you on the next show.
All right, guys. Signing off. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.